Samu, Debbie da ene ensem fofra yetene ewo ye my Ghana. Fiifi kwetey emra ye granting interview odi nsem ba kumienu bi etugye kyese emra NDC for ebetena so omuti team bia oral team operation oluta kyese okugye to ablakwa ene mpenimfo attitude ni bi tena sese omo ebe fight corruption we kofa papers bebre eba monte so akyesete ona ye shede hu the left from the right. Fiifi kwetey aja CPS so ena power so kyese sese ne NDC for ne MPP for mpenimfo ni bi astati kana na kana ne bia kyese ebusia asem kitwa mense umre ene wada ye bebo rensem no. This
afternoon, the alarm bells have gone off and the sirens blasting loudly over possible corrupt deals under the current administration. The revelation by General Secretary of the NDC Fiifi Kwetey of some lawyers cutting deals to prevent the jailing of former government appointees under the government's much-touted oral program has not only raised eyebrows, it has left many wondering if the promise to jail corrupt officials was only a promise to win political power. Well, addressing legal practitioners affiliated to the governing party at a forum, the General Secretary of the ruling party warned against acts which will put a spanner in the works of the current government in exacting accountability.
It's to be done, it must be done well. And to be done well means it has to be thoroughly done, proper due diligence. The job must be properly done. And you are the lawyers, so you should know. If you say righteousness and justice should be the foundation, it must be. So you cannot in one breath be making proclamations that are condemning those who are on the other side, while you yourself are part of the system that wants to subvert the same laws and the same constitution, the same rights things from being done. So you should be the first point of making sure things are done properly. That's the only way we can establish a society that will be truly great and strong. My first thing. My second thing is this. And Attorney General, I'm sure the pressure is mounting. We at the level of the party are picking the signals. And the signals we are picking is this: that many among us, in spite of the fact that pleas and the pressure coming from the public that the things have to be done properly, punishment must be exacted, and things have to be done, some among us are busy trying to cut deals with people who are supposed to be prosecuted. Some among us are trying to cut deals. Some are becoming conduits through whom pressure is being brought to bear on people who are supposed to do what is right. I'm not mentioning names. A time may come where we may have to. A word to the wise. Some know themselves, those who are. We are hearing your names. Think again. Because this victory was achieved largely because the people of Ghana wanted the right things done. Not for deals to be cut. For them to say, okay, now that we are on the other side, we cut deals so that tomorrow you also can get a deal cut. No, it won't happen.
That's Fiifi Kwetey, is the General Secretary of the ruling National Democratic Congress. Let's get on to Zoom right now. Martin Kebu is a private legal practitioner. He was also a part of the oral preparatory team which put together a dossier, handed it over to the president, and the president subsequently handed it over to the Attorney General. Now we're learning, Counsel, I appreciate you speaking to us, that there are some persons who are seeking to cut deals and put the spanner in the works in terms of exacting accountability. Do you think these individuals should have been named to start off with? Counsel, if you could kindly unmute for us so we can hear you. Well, it does appear there's a bit of a challenge in hearing from private legal practitioner Martin Kpebu, but while we try to rectify the connection with him, we know that the Attorney General himself, the man who Fiifi Kwetey says is under pressure, Dr. Dominic Ayeni, he's urged the lawyers of the NDC to defend the democracy of the country as well as the country's constitution.
We defend the poor and vulnerable in court. We give life to Article 17's promise of equality. When we hold government accountable for misuse of public resources, we honor Article 35(8) of the Constitution, which enjoins the state to prevent corruption and the abuse of power. When we protect workers against abuse, farmers, market women, and the marginalized, we affirm the NDC social democratic heritage that governance must be people-centered and justice-driven. As SOA JSC stated in 24 and Attorney General 1980 Ghana Law Report 637, our Constitution is a living document intended to meet the needs of our society. That living spirit is social justice, and it is our duty to nurture the spirit and sustain it. The NDC, since its inception, has positioned itself as a custodian of these values: free compulsory basic education, the expansion of health facilities, rural electrification, workers' rights, and social protection schemes are all testaments to this tradition, despite the noise that is always being made by our opponents to the effect that we have nothing to show when it comes to social protection. But a lawyer's role in politics must be principled. When we engage in political advocacy, it must not be for the sake of power, but for advancing fairness, inclusion, and accountability. The bar cannot be neutral in the face of inequality. And of course, as NDC lawyers, as social democrats, we cannot and should not tolerate inequality. We must stand where justice demands. Comrades, the NDC lawyer must be, first of all, an advocate of equity, using law to dismantle systemic barriers that perpetuate poverty and exclusion. A defender of constitutionalism, ensuring that our democracy serves the people, not just the elite. And of course, constitutionalism limits the power of government so that rights may be expanded. The NDC lawyer must also be a voice for the voiceless, making legal aid, pro bono services, and community advocacy a living part of our professional identity.
Thankfully, we have private legal practitioner Martin Kpebu back this time on the phone with us. Counsel, I was asking if from the onset we shouldn't be getting names of these individuals who are seeking to cut these deals and disrupt the government's effort at recovering loot.
No. Let's give Fiifi Kwetey the benefit of the doubt. You know, he has assessed the situation and he says he will hold on with names for now. So in that light, we'll be running ahead of ourselves to ensure that the names must come out. Let me say that even the fact that that statement came from him, that NDC lawyers are rather cutting deals to frustrate the prosecution of people who looted public funds, etc., is weighty enough. It's a strong warning enough. So I agree that he shouldn't mention names for now. If the conduct doesn't stop, then he would go ahead. Yes, but I mean, we must commend Fiifi Kwetey for coming out. That's very commendable. So that this would serve as a warning, a stark warning to those very people involved in cutting those deals. So with this... Yeah.
Right. But this does begin to raise the doubts and the questions, because many are those who've made the argument and made it quite strongly that we should have seen a lot more from the Attorney General in terms of oral prosecutions and the likes, but we haven't seen that much. Is this beginning to explain perhaps why some say there's a delay?
You see, the thing is that I think the Attorney General has done a commendable job. Let's remember that it's not every case that the Attorney General can prosecute. Some of them don't belong to him. Some belong to Yoko. So look at the Yoko line of cases. Hanan, the buffer stock. You see how Hanan, the stories came out. Millions of dollars in watches, etc. Right? And those things. So you saw Hanan's case. You saw Wuntumi's case. Also in Yoko. And the other Yoko, Kofi Akpalu, LPG. Also in Yoko. I'm sure we could mention more and more. So the thing is that the Attorney General cannot take over Yoko's cases. We have the Act, the 804, the Yoko Act, which says Yoko should deal with money laundering.
General Secretary, the NDC. Ora Fiifi, Fiavi kwetey. Ese. Yawa manfon mu bi ewo NDC amanyo ko ni mu a. Amanfon mu bi a wo mo amani sika nkwanta. Amanfon mu bi a wo mo di bone. Amanfon mu bi a sefa tase ye che wona so no. Sankrofo kroye wo NDC fo no mu bi. Eye katasumwe mu aso. E pese wo mo shodi amanfo. Se be ya prosecution entumi nkoso. Now I know as a general secretary for the party kase. Enya dia wo mo be tolerate we. So what ya no say no bi sa ho say. Why mo na wo NDC mo yesa de no. Eti Ghana fo bra ebrei. Empiti kwa Ghana fo etie. Keta se dream de ne proya adokoro man no. Na mo betra so mo bobo ne ma bi so with oral team hwehwemu amosema ye on NSS scandal. Yeba your friend say a sky train in some yi. Yeba NSLB Adu Boahen mo some yi. Any other issues wo mu a untumi ntena senka ntira me say senka mo hyasia ese mo ma emra na yadwuma nka sese bi amra ni ntumi nso obi paachi. And NPP NDC one mo nyina ya adekro because NPP ninya duane ma NDC ni bidi. NDC ninya duane ma NPP ni bidi. Kanu podi anya bone. Na ne ewo mu ne se ni nyane betena se abaye nhwe han. Ese ni nyane ye. Eti yefo ni nkotum na ho na asam ne wo. Eye dan na wunim se wo bia yade enye. Ghana fo to eto aba ema NDC aba His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Eye ensem mu bia free wo manu mu baaye. Bo sensem de. Campaign promises akese. Yeba prosecute amanfo. Yeba ya de mra ne beto ne da na mfi anto. Sani ama titi se wo ho. Na mra wo Ghana ha eye adwuma ye wo se. Ora team a wo mo se wo mate.